One of the huge stories of this NFL offseason is if Brandon Aiyuk is going to leave the 49ers. Your guy, Andrew Filipponi, is reporting that there's been a verbal agreement between Pittsburgh and San Francisco. So it's all but final. But would this be a bigger ad for Pittsburgh or a bigger loss for Purdy in San Francisco? Obviously?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. I mean, it would be a massive ad for Pittsburgh. If the Steelers get competent quarterback play, they're a legitimate team. Assuming they add Aiyuk. We know the defense is good. They might have the best defensive player in the league in TJ Watt. Last year, they found their way into the playoffs again, thanks to a few really good quarterback games by Mason Rudolph. We know they're going to be well coached. You have some offensive line questions for them, and I think their running back duo is a little overrated. But if George Pickens all of a sudden gets dropped down to your number 2 receiver and Aiyuk's your number 1, then the question just is, can Fields or Russ just give you the 18th best quarterbacking season in football, and that should be enough to contend for a playoff spot and not contend for a Super Bowl? But it would be a great ad for Pittsburgh. To the San Francisco side of things, because I do believe this is a fait accompli, that Brandon Aiyuk is going to end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that right now they're haggling over some financial details with Aiyuk while they've hammered out the trade details with San Francisco. That's what Andrew Filipponi is reporting. I've known Andrew for, gosh darn, man, almost 20 years, and no one is more connected to the Steelers than he is. So I trust his information, even though the national insiders are saying, Andrew's saying it's the 1-yard line. The national folks are saying it's closer to the 10-yard line. I trust Andrew. If you're the Niners, this is a debacle. And that is not because they can't compete without Aiyuk. That's not what I'm saying. It's a debacle of process. If you were going to trade Brandon Aiyuk, you've got to do it before the draft when Pittsburgh was offering you a first-round pick that you could have used in this year's draft for a player that can help you this season. The Steelers, by the way, in this year's draft, had the 20th pick, took Troy Fautanu from the tackle from Washington, a player the Niners, I don't know if they would have picked him, but an offensive lineman could have really helped them. When you don't trade Aiyuk before the draft, then you've got to just be willing to hold your water and be like, no, we're not trading him. We're going to, and if we lose him next year for nothing, or if we franchise tag him and work out a trade,
then so be it. Even if the player clearly
wants
wants out and
so that's
potential cancer to the locker room.
So that is exactly the point, DeMonze. So that's the smart point, because we talked about this on the show yesterday, which is what leverage does Aiyuk have? And the answer is exactly that. And I think folks underrate how big of an impact that can have, because they don't look at football teams like workplaces. But anyone that's ever worked in an office and had someone there that was important, that they couldn't just get rid of, that wasn't afraid they were going to be fired, who every day walked in with a bad attitude, who shit-talked people behind people's backs, who just sucked the energy out of any room they go into, anyone that's experienced that knows that has real impact on other people's ability to do their work, on other people's enjoyment of going to work, and if you're in a team environment, whether it's a literal team like a football team or a regular workplace where you work as a team, that can totally derail you. So that's clearly what the Niners are afraid of. The point I'm making, DeMonze, is they needed to determine before the draft if we don't trade Aiyuk and if we don't give him $30 million a year or whatever the number is that the route he's going to take? And if so, then we've got to trade. And we don't think we can deal with that, then we've got to trade him. And the other reason, DeMonte, that I think this is so mishandled is this isn't a shock. This didn't catch any. He has been flirting with Washington and Pittsburgh for months, openly, talking about it on podcasts, putting out IG videos saying, oh, they're done with me, doing a TikTok where he's breaking down the Commanders' all 22. Like, this wasn't a, oh my God, who could have seen this coming? Everyone saw it coming. So if you saw it coming, had an opportunity to trade him before the draft, and decided not to all of a sudden, lose your mettle a month before the start of the season is concerning. And I think it's damaging, significantly damaging for the Niners. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.